everyone. It's Kate Richberg, and today is Wednesday, January 18th. I know you saw me behind the scenes. I was putting on some lotion on my hands, so I'll be, let's see if I can grab that needle today. So, yes, so today is Brick Stitch Extravaganza. I've got a fresh pair of earrings to share with you. I'm wearing my very favorite Brick Stitch earrings that I'm going to talk about here. We've got so much to do. We're going to be working with 15s. I've curated a nice mix for you. So let's take a look at some of the techniques that we're going to be working on today. So today's broadcast, and you can see right here, we're going to talk about design techniques for fringe earrings. And again, I'm wearing this pair, this Dragon Dance, that I'm going to share with you as well. We're going to work on brick stitch with 15-aughts. We're going to embellish a coin, or you could use a disc or any kind of, donut-y kind of thing. I'm going to talk about creating a balanced fringe for this piece, and of course, we're going to add an ear wire. Now, you can find the complete ingredients list right at beadshop.com, collections Waterfall. I've named this Waterfall, and I'll tell you why in just a second. You can always watch the replay of this broadcast, folks, right on our beadshop.com YouTube channel, and subscribe to that YouTube channel for all of our latest. You can also go right to beadshop.com. Each of our projects has the corresponding live broadcast or technique videos on it, so you can find all of that info there. And of course, on social, we're all over social media. You can find us at beadshop.com on Instagram, join us at the Bead Table on Facebook, and of course, you can hit like and subscribe, as I said, over on YouTube. We've got so many years of learning that it's not even funny. So, let's jump in, shall we? Let's take a look at the ingredients I'm going to use. Brick stitch. I learned brick stitch from our Emily, right? Our seed bead guru, Emily. And if you've been watching our broadcasts for a while, you know that peyote stitch is my jam. Odd count, regular count, peyote in the round, especially asymmetrical or free-form peyote. All of those I love. That was the first stitch I ever learned, and I stuck with it. I'm nothing if not loyal. However, brick stitch, well, and herringbone, but we're working on brick stitch today. Brick stitch is a close second in my world of seed bead stitch love. And it's because you can really, what do I want to say? It's super versatile. Like, you can shape it to make any shape you want. If you're familiar with Emily's brick stitch earrings, you know she does that great triangle with the fringe. We've got a lot of fun stuff for brick stitch. I also did those opulent duster earrings that I was going to wear, but I opted for these instead. Those are done with brick stitch. So if you haven't jumped in, you can watch some of our other brick stitch tutorials with Emily and glean a lot of information about brick stitch. I'm going to go over it today. I'm not as strong a seed bead explainer as our Emily, but I'm going to go over it and I'm going to show you what I've done here with this. But we're really going to talk a lot about design and making a balanced earring. I have pretty tough ears, right? Like in high school, remember in the 80s, you'd hang anything off your ear, right? I made these crazy earrings that were little plastic animals that I wire wrapped. And anyway, all my girl gang wore them. It was early 80s at its finest. But that being said, my ears are super tough, right? So I can wear earrings that are heavier. So that's something you want to take into consideration when you're making, as I like to call them, a say something earring. These aren't that heavy for me, and I'm going to put everything down on the demo camera so you can see it. So let's get over there. Let me see. First, I've got some comments. Janice is behind the scenes doing some linking and broadcast and moderating over there. And of course, we have our Gita all the way across the miles from Denmark doing her job of linking and stuff as well. Thank you. Thank you. You are invaluable to these broadcasts. And speaking about invaluable to these broadcasts, I want to give a big thank you to everyone for watching us this past weekend on the Great Bead Extravaganza. Not only for me, but all of us who are in the Great Bead Extravaganza. It felt like old home week. It really felt like a virtual bead show. The demos were amazing. You folks were amazing with your comments and your patience and your observations. It was really great. So a big thank you. Our next one is Spring Fling, and that's coming up in April. So there'll be more information about that, or you can jump over to the Great Bead Extravaganza to learn more. I have a couple of other announcements, but I'm going to save those till the end of the broadcast. All right, so let's get down to it. Let me bring it over here. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, you guys, you folks really, you just made our weekend. I tried to watch almost every broadcast. I watched everything on Saturday and almost everything on Sunday. I've got a few that I want to rewatch and watch for the first time. But there was so many really great tips and tricks, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing for next TGBE. So if you have any ideas, toss them out there, because I'd like to know what you folks want to see. But it really was like old home week. It was really great. So what you're going to need, friends, is all over on the website. When we got the 15s in, and my the choices that I've made are on the web under Waterfall. This is another one of those choose your own adventure kind of pieces. So if you're not completely keen on the color choices that I've made here, substitute, right? Substitute. So what you're going to need is a variety of 15-aughts. And yesterday we just launched the second half of our inaugural size 15s that we have just added to our shop at beadshop.com. Janice is also so enamored with these tiny beads, at the urging of our Emily, that we've made a whole new color order. So there's another launch coming, because we just can't stop with the 15s, which I'm excited about. Then I also am using the, let's see, let me get to the comments here. Let me catch up to all of you all. There we go. I am using these Miyuki spacers. And Janice and I, when we were talking about beads to add for 2023, we were like, are you kidding? We have not, how is it that we don't sell these already? So I'm using these spacers today. And these, I'm sighing with love for them. These beads, not only are they great in seed bead projects, I'm going to get a little closer. Remember when we were carrying O beads, the check version of these? I liked the O beads, but they were a little difficult to keep in stock, right? In consistent color. These are kind of like an O bead. They're a little smaller. They're a little, and they have a little bit of heft or chunk to them. I don't know if that's the right word, but and I love them. And we carry them in a myriad of colors. So we're going to be adding more of these spacers as well. These are great also just for stringing. Like, I'm going to be working with Softflex soon. We've got a whole bunch of check glass that's launching. And you know how I love a metal Hishi spacer. These Miyuki spacers are like a little glass hishi. They are delish. I put a new, you'll be glad to know, I put a new battery in my caliper, but it's over here on my desk. So let me grab it. I'm going to measure those for you. I know this is a show about brick stitch, but I know that you like to see. Look at a new battery. Miracles do happen. Let me dump a few of these out because I want you to see the size of these. Okay, so these are, and they come in a bunch of different colors, and the whole size is big. So let me zero this sucker out here. Let me get it. So you can see the outside diameter of these. It's 2.9 millimeter. On this, the thickness is about 1 millimeter. And then the inside diameter, can I get it? It's about 1 millimeter-ish. It's kind of hard for me to grab it there, but you can see if I put it on the awl, how far down it goes on the tip of the awl. Okay, so not only are these great for seed bead work, and you can see in the piece that I've started for you, here I've used them double and I've brick stitched with them. I just love them. Amy is saying she uses these spacers in almost everything instead of a metal spacer bead. I am getting on that train too, Amy. These are really luscious. And they're really, oh, and Emily, that's my girl, always jumping in. They sit on 16 gauge wire. Thank you. That's makes me love them even more. And it's a 1.3 millimeter inside diameter. Perfect. So see, what would I do without my team? It's amazing. So they're great. All right. So I guess I need to move on from my love for these guys. There's another question that I want to answer here that came up from Sue, and I'm going to put it on. Sue's asking, what stitch do I recommend for a beginner to start with? Well, Sue, let me tell you, brick stitch is a great one. Peyote is also great, but brick is pretty easy. And I know Emily will back me up on this. A lot of times when Emily starts a stitch or demonstrates a stitch, and in seed bead school with Emily, you will go over there and see a whole bunch of really great tutorials on all of our favorite stitches. But this is brick stitch around here. And what a surprise. I'm using my favorite shadow beads. And these are regular shadows. But in this one here, I'm using little shadows. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're starting a seed bead stitch and you don't want to start out with these most tiniest of 15s, okay, jump in and start with something like an 8. Okay, this happens to be a sneak peek of the February mix. Don't tell anyone that I have it here, that I've shown it to you. But 8/aughts are a great way to work out the stitch in a bead that isn't teeny tiny. Sometimes I do it in 6s, but sometimes 6s, honestly, might be a little big. Okay, so an 8, an 8/aught is great. Okay. So the Miyukis are called, we call them, and Janice, you can confirm for me, I think these are just the Miyuki spacers, I believe. And they're all on Beadshop. We have them, I think they're even still in Just In. But if you go to Shop and Beads, you'll see all the spacers. We're going to be adding more to our mix. So you'll find them there. So, So let's jump in and look at the design of this, right? Let's talk about some of our goals for today. Let me do this. And it looks like Gita has also put they're over in collections, Miyuki spacers. So there they are. Great. Okay, so let me go to my list. Where is it? Here it is. So let's start talking about the design techniques for this, okay? And then we're going to go into the 15s, and I'm going to show you how I deal with adding that brick stitch around here to the disc, okay? And then we're going to talk about fringe, and at the very end, we'll talk about ear wires, okay? So this is that Dragon Dance earring that I made. Unfortunately, these 3mm rounds that are on here, I think it was like a turquoise moon dust, no longer available, out of stock, no more. But we have a bunch of 3mm that you could use, right? Any small 3mm. This could also be an 8/0 here, right? There's an 11/0 here. So when I was designing, you have a couple of options for this, and I'm going to bring this one in here as well. This one's made by Allie, and you can see this one too. You'll remember this with the base. So Melanie, that's an excellent and extremely timely question. So could I do this with the donut? You bet. You can do this with anything that has a hole, okay? This one that Allie did as a pendant, we're using our really thin, this is I think a 1-inch ring that we have here. We have some hammered rings, all of that, right? Those all work really, really well. So if you have a stone donut, that would also work. Keep in mind the weight of that stone may be a little heavy for earrings, but it just depends on the size. I have some old donuts in my collection that are pretty darn small. So you can experiment. It would also make a great pendant. You can see Allie put this little gem on a spiral macrame rope. So decide what you want to do here. Okay. And so then with this one, let's take a look at this one. And you can see the I Ching coins that we carry. I'm going to really zoom in on that. And Angela, that's a great question. Won't the beads slide if the edge is round? That all has to do with the tension, and I'm going to talk about that when we get to this. Excellent question. Emily is saying Ashanti saucers. Yes. Bead queen. Yes. Ashanti saucers would be amazing with earrings, right? So let me show you this. Let me get in a little tighter. Now, when I zoom in, you can see, you don't really see this when I'm just wearing them and they're kind of flapping around on my ears, right? You can see this is a really thread forward design. I did the brick stitch. This is with, I think it's with KO, or I might have actually used Hana when Hana was in, so that the thread kind of disappeared onto the coin. And I am super into textile forward and thread forward. And I wanted these earrings to look like I unearthed them in an archaeological dig. Archaeological dig is really the guiding principle in a lot of my designs, honestly. So I let the thread just shine here, okay, like this. And you can see on the back, I'll turn it, you can see it here as well. And there's a little, I don't know what happened here. Maybe things are kind of, I don't know, whatever. It's a little funky there. But these earrings are not supposed to look like a pristine Tiffany window. They're supposed to look like a window at the National History Museum, okay? these here that I'm starting, I wanted a little bit more of a finished look. And these, I named them Waterfall. And I'll tell you very quickly why. I don't know if you've ever been to the Roman baths in Bath, England. One of my favorite places of all time. Many places in England are my favorite places. But Bath, if you go or if you look at the photos, you see these like verdigris walls and you see these kind of verdigris pots where the water is falling out of them, and they're just that bronze verdigris patina. Just, I am a sucker for it. It just sends me every time. So when I was looking at these, I was that's what it reminded me of. So I held that photo in my head of that really fun time I had in Bath. And so that's why I called this Waterfall. So that's where it comes from. So I wanted the front of these beads to have a waterfall, right? On the back, I wanted that thread forward. So can you see, and can you also see how, and this was the question, Sue, or whoever had that question earlier about, will the beads walk around on the disc? The tension here is holding them in, and this little shadow is also kind of locking it in. Okay, if that makes sense. So I like using this shadow bead around the edge. Now on Allie's here, I know Hana is discontinued. It's really sad. The maker of the thread was like, I'm over making it. I'm done. So, but KO is a good, solid thread. I'm going to actually be using a new thread today. We're going to talk about it in a second. Here's Allie's, and you can see she also is thread forward around this ring here. And she's stitched out this way and in this way. So you don't only have to stitch on the outer ring. She's also used 3 millimeters here on the outside. 8/0, 6/0, 8/0, 8/0, and an 8/0 metal in the middle, which I adore. So this is also, it's just showing that you don't have to have that metal shadow bead there. You can butt up the 8/0 around it, which look delicious, I think. Okay. So we have a whole bunch of KO on our website. We're going to be adding new colors. If you'll remember from the Great Bead Extravaganza, I used this brown KO, which I liked a lot. And again, the design of that wrap bracelet I made was, again, thread forward. It had a lot of that laddering thread over that distressed light brown. So that, again, was a purposeful choice on my part with the thread. For today's thread, we also launched some thread that works beautifully with the 15s. And I was a little worried when we got the 15s, especially for like stitching projects, right? A lot of times we go through the beads several times, and I was worried that my beloved KO would be too big. So we got, this is Ceylon in AA. So the AA, it's hard to see on this when I'm comparing the two, but I'm going to compare the two. The difference, this is the KO over here. This is the AA Ceylon over here. Now, since I'm holding them in my hand, I can tell the difference in weight. It's very hard for you to tell the difference here on the camera. Okay, but trust me that this AA is a nice weight. Thinner, and this color, like the Hana Pebble, which has been discontinued, I have like 2 spools of it that I'm just going to use for special occasion, like if I stitch on, I don't know, Christmas or whatever, right? But this gray, or it's charcoal, I think, is what this is called. It's nice. Sydney's asking, does the Ceylon fray? It's a skinny thread, right? It's a skinny thread. So it's not like a twist, right? It's a flat thread. Um, I think it would certainly benefit from a slight, um, a little bit of wax here. But I don't think that it's any more fray-y. Terrible butchering. I don't think it frays more than any other of our skinny threads. Fireline, I know I don't want to turn this into a show about thread, but Fireline, I've got some here. Because I'm using Fireline for my temperature project. We carry it now in the 50-yard spools, and we carry it in the smoke in the 4-pound and the 6-pound. I wouldn't use Fireline on this. I mean, I would. Maybe I would, if it was the only thread I had sitting around or whatever, right? But it's a little stiffer. It's hard for you to see on camera, I know. But Emily, in a lot of her seed bead projects that need structure, this is a great thread to add structure. For the fringe that I'm going to put on here, I want the fringe to have a little more flow, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And Cindy's saying, well, she's got some size D and it frays like crazy. The things that I've stitched with this, it hasn't really frayed for me. It's very similar to Nymo, right? It's that same flat thread, but it's smaller, right? So it goes through the 15s pretty well. I also have, and then we'll get right to this project. We also have a bunch of threads that are coming in soon that I'm going to test. Whole bunch of skinny threads I'm going to be looking at. Because to be honest, I use KO for just about everything. And I used a little, I use the Fireline as well. So it works. Kita's like wildfire. I do have wildfire on the list. So we'll see. I need to balance what I'm getting in, but I know you love wildfire. So it's not a complete no yet. So anyway, I've got those coming in. So that'll be coming down the line. Let me get rid of these. KO is not going away. KO is here to stay, that at least as far as I know. So we're gonna carry this as long as we can. Good question on what's the difference between KO and 1G. I have some 1G coming. I'll be honest. I'll confess just to me and all 200 of you watching out there. I've never used 1G. Collective gasp. But I have some coming because I'm going to put it through its paces. I have some wildfire coming. I'm going to, I can't sell you something that I don't try, right? We've got to try it. We've got to make sure that we love it because I just can't sell you something I don't love. So I will, and I would love your input on it. So Linda's saying 1G has nice drape, which I love. So I love that input. So yeah, it's more threads are coming. All right, let's get to this design with the 15s. So the beads, the colors that I chose, and I love that everyone's like 1G is my jam. All right, you bead friends, I'll get on the 1G wagon with you. We'll try it out. I wanted something that was, what do I want to say? A monochromatic palette without being dull. Okay, so I used a mixture of, for this top portion, the patina, the 2008, the patina, uh, the green patina color, which I love. And then this one, the 1026, which is that AB green. Let me get the actual right color. This is the matte metallic patina iris right here. And this is the silver lined olive AB. That's what this is. Then later on, I'm going to throw in, again, I mean, when I don't know what to do, I default to these seed beads, right? This is, you're seeing it again. What a surprise. Kate's working with this palette. This is the matte opaque seafoam luster. Okay, so that gave me kind of a monochromatic palette without it being dull. Then this is all the rage. This kind of matte, matte in the white, which is this one, the matte cream. And then this one is the matte antique beige. So I did a couple, this is the opaque cream. So I did a couple of light colors in here. And then I had to have a bronze. So it's the metallic dark bronze in the O-bead spacer. I wanted a black, but I didn't want a black, right? Oh, am I out of frame? Let me see. I was looking. No, I'm in frame. Okay. I wanted a black, but I didn't want just a plain black. So this is the Picasso black. It's a little bit hard to see on your screen, but it's got a little bit of texture to it. Okay. Then you'll remember our broadcast when we got these little drops in, and I had ordered some, and they were sitting on my design table, just mocking me with their beauty. So I thought I'd use these. So I used the green amethyst drop, these little beauties there, and then the, so that's going to be on the fringe. Okay. People are jumping in, Janice, and saying how much they love the tulip needles. You know, we carried the tulips, but you folks didn't buy them. So we were like, meh, I don't know. Maybe we won't. So if you folks will buy them, we'll sell them. But I need to know that you want them. They're spendy, those needles. They're great. But yeah, we'll get them back in if you love them. And Emily also has, we're testing out another needle that is Emily's jam. It's her go-to. So we're going to be adding a few more needles as well. So, and these are the I Ching coins. Now these, they're old. And when you get them, they're not going to match. They're just not. That's how they are. And you can see I ordered two. I got one that was kind of this way with a lot of brass on it. This one that had a lot of patina. But, you know, it's fine. These are my archaeology dig earrings, right? So I will, you know, I'm just going to go with it. I think they'll look great. The other earrings, these guys, sometimes, this one here, can you see? These have holes in them. I mean, they're old. They're the real ones, right? So these are, so they're not. So your I Ching coins, when you get them, folks, are not going to match. Okay? They're just not, which is fine. That's what you're going to do. As Gita is saying, these earrings are sisters, not twins. Okay? So to start with the brick stitch, what I did, and I'm just gonna walk you through it, and I'm gonna do this in real time, and I haven't done it for about a week, so if I screw up, please be kind. Seed beads are not my natural habitat, but I'm not afraid. This is live. There's only like 200 of you watching. You're not going to tell anyone. We're going to talk ear wires a little later too. Let me put that over there. Okay. So what's the size of the coins? Great question, Marion. Let me tell you. And Kim Crawford saying that you could um, add your own patina onto here. For sure. You surely could, and make them match a little bit more. Cindy saying that her second favorite needle is the pony. Well, those are what I have coming to test out. So you may see those sooner rather than later. Here, it's almost 25 millimeters around. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to cut kind of a small, and Nancy, no worries. Everyone loves a tulip. I use these broadcasts also, so you can tell me what you like and what you don't like. It's fine. Don't worry. It's no big deal. I'm going to use my board here, right? And the board is about 14 inches long right here, like this here. And I measured out 3 times. So maybe I'm working with about 1 yard of thread, maybe a little bit less. Okay. Oh, Cindy, you're watching my social. Yes, I have been quilting. My mom and I quilt once a month together. And I have been working on a quilt. It's 23 years old, this quilt. I know that because it has Millennium fabric in it. So this is the year with my quilt group that I am finishing projects. So if you go to my Bead Kate Instagram, you'll see some of those. We had such a great quilt time. Leslie's asking what needles don't bend. I am using the Sharps size 10, the size 10 Sharps. These don't bend much, and that's why I like them. Emily likes a bendier needle, right? Tulips also don't bend, I think, quite as much. I've got some sitting around here somewhere. We'll get them back in so I can try them out again. But sometimes you need a bendy needle and sometimes you don't. That's the thing, folks, is that you need, well, in my opinion, I don't want to tell you what to do, but it's nice to have a variety of these tools in your tool chest. So you can go straight to the exact needle you need, the exact thread that you need. And needles and thread are inexpensive. So, comparatively, for tools, for consumables, right? It's nice to have those in your tool chest. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do as Emily taught us. I'm going to take that thread. I waxed heavily the end of this double A. I get the eye of my size 10 needle and I needle the thread. I place the eye of the needle on the thread rather than trying to push that thread through the needle. Okay, that's an adage from our Emily. Now, I'm going to find a starting point. I'm going to get rid of those, and I'm just going to use these 2 threads right here. I have to clear my decks, so I clear my thinking, right? Is that true for you? I have to just quickly kind of clear things out so I can think. So here's the patina, here's the olive, here's the little shadow. So there we are. You can see that it's there. Okay. And here is my sample, and I'm going to turn it upside down because that's kind of the way I stitch with this. Okay. Let me get all that in there. So what I'm going to be looking at is, let me look at my sample so I don't screw this up. We get a little tighter in here. What I've got for my first stitches, what you're going to do is you're going to make a base row. And what I did with my base row is I made this loop around, and my base row is one of the little shadows. You could use 2 as your base row if you wanted, but I felt like I only wanted 1, and this little shadow was big enough so it would hold my base. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. I'm going to start, and this is how I start brick stitch. And Emily probably, maybe she starts it a little bit differently, but I'm going to show you how I do it. But again, you can go over, whoops, sorry about that, everyone. Let me get myself in here, and I need to reconnect my demo phone. Hold the phone, everyone. Let me just do this and this and connect this device. There, it's back. And let me turn this around, put this back in. Can you tell I'm also our IT person? No big deal. There we go. All right, let me get this back. There we are. Okay. So here, like I was saying, there's that base row. Let me get here to my zoom. So I counted for my first stitch. I'm going to put on the beads that cover. And you might be asking, well, Kate, why are you covering, this coin? Why aren't we seeing all of it? You don't have to cover it. You could do it just like I did here with just the thread. But I wanted some seed beads to embellish it. And then I left most of the coin unembellished. Okay. So here is 2, 4, 6 of the size 15s. So I'm going to put on 6 of the 15s. Then I'm actually going to tie a knot up here so it's nice and tight. I'll weave those ends in and stuff later, but I want it to be stable. Okay. Then I'm going to put on 2 of my little shadows. 6 of these guys go around, back up, reinforce it a little bit, and then do row by row by row, and I'll show you. Okay, so let me zoom out a bit. You guys are so kind talking about my technical prowess. This is what I figure, and I want you folks, while I put this on, life is hard, right? It has great joys and great lows, right? And one of the things I've learned in this life is I really cannot sweat the small stuff. And, so I'm just going to go with every curveball. And if a small technical glitch on a live broadcast is the curveball I've got, then that's what I'm going to go for, right? I'm not going to worry about it. Same thing with your beads, folks. Just go with it. Catch those curveballs, throw them right back over the plate, right? So question here about there's no beads on the back of the coin. That's correct. So see here, I didn't, and you could if you wanted, but again, I wanted a little bit of that archaeological texture on the back, okay? So now I'm just going to tie, I've done my 6, and this is where the question of, are these beads going to slide around, etc. This kind of sets the tone. So I'm going to get my thread here, and I'm just going to do my little square knot right over left, so I have a big enough tail to weave in later. And I'm going to tie that knot, and I'm going to try and get all of those line of 6 on the front of that coin. See there? That's it. Then I'm going to tie the second portion of my square knot right over left, left over right, and there it is. Okay? So here is my first row. And so if you'll notice, what I'm doing is I'm trying to kind of keep it, in the same place. That looks like it's going to be about right. Okay. After you stitch a couple, you can kind of shove them over a little bit if you need to, but that looks like the right start. So I'm going to ignore this piece of thread down here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on 2 of my little shadows. I've got them here. Sometimes the little shadows are a little smaller. Put that aside. You want your pieces for brick stitch to be kind of the same. So this first row of brick stitch, we always put 2 on. So I'm going to put my 2. Okay. Now I'm also going to put in my 6. And what I did in the design was I did 2 rows of olive, 2 rows of patina, right? So let's put on 6 of the olive. 1, I'm not in the shot there. 1, 2, these 15s are small. 3, 4, 5, pardon me, and 6. Let me get a drink of water here. Sorry about that. Okay, that's better. I'm going to come around, and this is setting up my base. I'm going to bring these 6s around here, right? I'm going to go through the center hole of my coin and up along the back of the coin and through the bottom of this shadow. Whatever your base bead is, just that one, okay? So essentially, let me turn it to the side, and you can see this tightening up. Like that. It always takes a little bit of determination to get your base row started. Okay, so see there how that's come up and around the back, and it's helping this front to sit nicely. Whoops, sorry. You can definitely use, and this is asking about 11s. Sure, of course you could use 11s, right? No problem there. Now, what you could do, there's a couple of ways to do this, and Emily's probably hollering at me over the airwaves. What I'm going to do is this. I go down. See how my thread is coming up from this one, from this second one that I put on? I'm going to go down my the bead next to it, my number 1 brick stitch bead. Now I'm going to stitch, just for base row comfort, I'm going to stitch all the way down that line of 15s. I don't think you have to. I don't know. I'm feeling like I need a little extra security blanket today. So that's what I'm doing. Now I'm just going to jump over. I'm not going to go around the back. I'm just going to go up the front of the 6s. See that there? And up and through that second bead that's sitting on top. Okay? And tighten. Now this, when you tighten, see how this is? It's a little, the tension isn't quite right, but I'm the boss of these seed beads, so I'm going to pull it all into order. And after a few turns, a few on here, I'll go ahead in a little bit and weave this in. Yep, sorry about that. I'm so concentrating on my frame. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you for telling me. So it's a little tighter here, and it's a little tighter here. So I've reinforced. Now we're going to brick stitch. So I'm going to go to my patina. So what I'm doing next is I'm putting my first, my stopper bead right here. Okay, my base bead. It's not a stopper bead. My base bead. Okay. My 6 patinas go around the back and up through this base bead. Okay, that's all we have to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to try and keep this into frame. Okay. Here I go through the center of that coin. I go through. I know I hate it when I'm watching a tutorial on a video tutorial and they wander out of frame, so I'm sorry. See how I can kind of control it with my thumbnail there, and then I pull tight. Now I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'm going to bring my needle up along the, whoops, there it is, up along the back of the coin and up, whoops, up through that bead. See that there? And that's going to lock it in. See there? Now I've got 3 across. 3, how many do I have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've done 10 of these rows across. So see how there's a little bit of space right here where you're going to see the thread. So I push the bead down a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit faster so I can get these on there. 4, 5, 6 through. I'm going to do, as I say, go at Kate speed. Come around, lay them down, tighten, up the back of the top base bead, and tighten it through. This extra thread is making me crazy. So I've got 2 of the olive, 2 of the patina. Let's do another olive. Then I want to show you the second row. 2, 3. How am I doing on time? I'm doing all right. 2, 4, 5, and 6. That's going to, whoops, come back there. We carry a bunch of colors in these 15s. So as I said, when I was designing this, I wanted a design that was a little more monochromatic, right? So that's why I chose this color palette. If you want a design that shows up a little bit more, use some that contrast. And you can even use some that, like you could make a mix of your own. When we got the 15s, there was a mix. There, a few of the tubes broke. So there was a little happenstance mix along the bottom of the box and the bottom of the box. So I saved it because thankfully it was a nice color. So I'm going to be using that mix sometime. I need to identify which beads actually were the ones that fell out, right? But this would be cool with kind of a mix as well, because the 15s are so small that it's a really, you can get really subtle color changes. So see, I put everything on, I go through the back, I flip it kind of forward, and then I go up the bead. Okay. So how many do I have here? 2, 4, 6. I just have 4 more to do because I want to get this base in there. So I'm sorry, it's a little, I know it's tedious, but hang in there with me. I've just got a few more to go. Whoops, I didn't put my shadow on, so I'm going to take these off like this, hold them in my finger, and then I'm going to put the needle back in, right? Okay, like so. Then I got a ding on my computer. There we go. Do not disturb is on. There we are. Okay. Let me get back to, there we are. All right. Yeah, someone wants me. Okay, so here's this. And this. So see, once you start to get your base row situated here, things are a lot easier. Let's put this one on. It's another patina. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 through. And again, I kind of, push them all to the front. You don't want a wayward 15 or whatever size you're using to sneak around to the back, right? You want to keep all 6 on the front. There we go. So now just 2 more. 1, 2. Gosh, these are small. Have I said that before? But I love them. I don't know why we didn't have these earlier. Probably because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to see them, right? The circular brick is with regular shadows. This one is with regular. And this is on the website. It's called Dragon Dance, is what it's called. Oh, for Pete's sake. See how I put that backwards? Seriously. Let me go back through. I'm playing with fire here. It's because I'm multitasking. Let me keep them through my fingers. Let me put this little shadow on. And for some reason, I'm beading with the needle in my left hand. That's just ridiculous. I'm not able to grab them. Oh, I got 4. That's not too bad. One, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, 5. I just missed 1. Not bad with left-handed beading. There we go, around the front, through the center. Sorry, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I seem to be having trouble. Sorry. Let me get that zoom. Let me zoom out just a touch because you've seen me do this now. There we go. I've got a little more space. Come on, why can't I see it? Get in there. There we are. And you don't want to split the thread. I think I split the thread in this one. All of a sudden my motor skills are leaving me. Let me see. Is there something? Oh, look at that. It's because there's a 15 in there. For crying out loud. Come on. Come on, little precious bead. There's a 15 there. Let's get that out. Heavy sigh. Let's do this. There's nothing for it, right? I want a shortcut. There's no shortcut. Take it out. Take these 15s off. Take this shadow off. This one has a 15 in it, so I'm going to put it aside. There's no shortcut for that kind of thing. If you think, oh, I'm just going to send my needle back through and all, it's just going to end in tears. So let's rethread. I know that's a lot. You know, everything happens on a live broadcast. Needle the thread, get it through. Okay, now we're back. One little shadow, 6 of the 15s. We're so close. Then we're going to talk about the second row and what you want to add design-wise. 2, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Go through here. Tighten it up with the tension. We'll make everything sit nicely. Go through the base. All right, here's our, thank goodness we have arrived on our last thing. And I don't like either of those two shadows, so I'm going to get another one. That is funny. Lynn, is it wrong that you're finding pleasure in someone else fighting with beads? No, it is not wrong. That's the thing. You know, when I used to do a lot of demos on TV, right? Beads, Baubles, and Jewels, and on HGTV and DIY channel, all of those, right? What we would do in the interest of making everything go really smoothly is we had to have step outs that were perfectly executed, and we had to make the project like 6 times in like 6 different steps, right? Various states of finish. So that we would move seamlessly from one part of the demo to another, right? Do I have 7? I don't think so. I think I've got 6. Whatever it is, I'm going to keep it. So we never had a screw up, right? I kind of, not that I like it, but I honestly don't mind when I'm doing this on air for you all. If I mess up, you can see how I fix it, right? So I don't mind. It's not a perfectly polished television segment, I'll tell you, that's for sure. So here it is, all right? Here's that row, and these are a little, I could go back through and restitch these 15s back and forth to make it nice and sturdy, but I'm not going to. This is fine like this. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 10 of these. Okay. So now the decision that I had to make here was, what did I want? It's kind of funny to say, but what did I want the rest of this earring to look like, right? Did I want a little bit of opulence here? And the answer is yes, I did. I wanted a little more brick stitch to make a nice foundation. I could just put one more single row, like I could do another single row of these shadows, and just have the fringe come out there. But I wanted it to have a little more shape, right? Fringe here would be a little more dingle-dangly, right? That's not really, my vocabulary today is terrible. I'm looking for that opulent duster earring. It might keep looking at those. With the opulent duster that I did, it was, yeah, here they are. Great. I did just a couple of rows. So you could do that same thing with these 15s. Let me show you the difference here, okay? Here's the opulent duster. Let me zoom out. So you can see that the row, I just have 2 of the earrings there as the base, right? Here with this one, I wanted a little more heft. But you do you, you know, right? I love these with the opulent duster, the link that has this loop on the top, right? Okay. So that works out for me there. You could do this kind of same thing with this as well, right? So let me add the next row here. All right, let me get these out of the way. I love these opulent dusters, and I know a lot of you do too. You've made so many of those pairs. It makes me super happy. They're called shadows. Janice named them. It's just and Janice, I'm sure you can put the description in there. I just love the name. We call them little shadows. We always have, we always will. So let me take a look. I'm going to put this upside down here. And you can see in my pattern, I'm now going to put on 2 of the 15s. And I'm going to do this all in the same color. And so I did this 2 row here of brick stitch. Then I came back and I did a single row of the patina, 2 rows of the O beads, or not the O beads, but the Miyuki spacers, and then 1 final row of the 15 patinas. That was the design. Okay. So let's do the 15s. So remember, with brick stitch, we always put on at the beginning of the row, the first 2 beads go on. Okay. So, and I use the olive. So I'm going to go 1, 2 for the first section, 3, 4 for the center section. And I'm showing this from the back because it's easier for you to see without all the beads. I'm going down. See how the beads kind of fall like that? Okay. So I'm going to go, am I zoomed in tight enough? Can you see that? I don't know, hopefully. I'm going to go up through the shadow, through that first pair. So they kind of sit where I want them to. Tighten up the tension. Tighten up the tension. Now, I'm going to go back down this one, these 2, like that. Tighten it up. Back down through my shadow so it's nice and tight. I'm going to catch, what I need to do is I need to catch my thread, right? So it catches underneath so it can, what do I want to say? So it'll straighten these beads out, right? So I'm just going to set it through the thread on the back like that. There's a lot of ways you can do it. I didn't have to put it back through this shadow. I could have gone under the thread bridge here. But however you want to catch it is fine. We just want to look for this end result. See here how I'm going back up through there? Back through. Something's flipped around here. Oh, and I'm not going to fix this, but I'll tell you what I should have done. Sorry, I'm out of frame. I went down and through I went around this shadow bead, not underneath and up, but I'm not going to take the time to take it out. I can't really see the thread, and I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. So now I'm going to start using the thread bridge. I wanted it to be a little sturdier here. So now I'm going to do the thread bridge. So here's the 2. I put on the 2. I go under the thread bridge. Back up through the 2. And because the beads were metal and stuff, I guess that's why I did it that way. There's no real wrong answer to it there. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up 2 more. I'm going to go under the same thread bridge. I think I went under each thread bridge twice. And I'm going to come in here. Okay. Now, I better get a move on with the rest of this. So you can see I'm going to continue to go across. Now, let me show you this. See right here in this area, there's a little bit of a space there that I don't love. What I'll do, I'll stitch across, do my brick stitch, stitch back with my single, and then when I'm back on this side, I'll probably stitch it just to reinforce it and get this stack of beads a little closer in like that. Okay? Like so. So all I'm doing here is I'm going under the thread bridge. I'm no longer going through that shadow bead because that's how brick stitch is. You don't go through the bead, you go, see, can you see that little bridge? That little thread bridge. So I'm going to go back. So there it is. It sits next to it. I'm coming around and I go through. I have to do it this way. Through those 2, and the needle comes up the top. Okay. And tighten. So my next one, 2 more. I could have even done 3, but I wanted just the 2. I'm going to skip it to the next. Or no, this one's in the same thread bridge there because I'm putting 2. Okay. And then I'm going to go under the thread bridge. Shelly's saying she did something called the stable brick stitch, which doesn't use the thread bridges. I'm going to have to check that out. There's definitely more than one way. I love this. There's definitely more than, whoops, I didn't catch that thread bridge at all, did I? There's more than one way to get this going, right? So, I don't know. I just didn't catch it. But that's the beauty of seed bead work. I am all for creating kind of what works for you. I've been stitching for a long time, embroidery stitching and mending and, all that stuff. So I'm pretty confident in my stitching abilities. So if I make something up on the fly, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? So just the main thing you want to but pay attention to is not splitting your threads. Gosh, these beads are small. Sorry. I am just much better getting this needle. I know it looks a little funny, but getting this needle in from this side, putting them through like that, and tightening it down. Thank you, Cindy, for your encouraging words. Stay the course. Stay the course. So I'll continue to bring this across. Can you see that? And let me bring its mate in here. Okay, because I want to talk about fringe. And I don't have that much time left. So we've got to get to fringe. Just to reiterate this pattern, and it's the same way. You're going to start with the 2 on the end. You put in 2, go down and up and around, and then you go under each thread bridge to get that single brick stitch bead on there. So see here, when I turn and I come back around, I've used a single 15. That's the patina. Then as I came back across, I used 2 of the Miyuki spacers, and they just acted like one bead on there, right? Like that, all the way across. Then my final base row was 1 more of those 15s. So now I'm ready for fringe. Okay, and I want to talk about fringe. I don't want to gloss over this, and I want to show you. So I'm going to put this friend aside. You go over here. Your time in the spotlight is done. I think I need a needle on this end, though. So let me get that. And can you see here, this is our friend that was hanging out the end. So let me show you what I'll do to take this off to end this. I'm going to thread my needle here at the end, and I'm just going to make a thread path. I'm going to go down next to the shadow bead next to it, stitch it through, just like we end any of our stitches. That 15 is pretty full of thread. So I don't want to break, at this point, if I broke the bead, it really would all end in tears. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this base row. And see how I'm going to stitch that square? Turn some right angles, because the holes in these are big. So there we go. The spacers, I don't think they're thicker than the O beads. I think they're probably about the same. They're a little smaller. O beads kind of taper a little bit, I think, to my memory, towards the center of the donut, and they might be a little bit larger. These feel a little chunkier, but they're about the same. And Janice is saying, Janice, you might want to put that on the screen. There's a question about the size of the spacer beads. Yeah, thank you. They are 1 millimeter by 3 millimeter. So the width is 3 mil and the height is 1 mil. What Kathleen is saying, she says the challenge to her students is getting that very first, I lost her comment. There we go. Bead on the second or third row to stand up properly. That is always a challenge. And there's no shame in coming back through and reinforcing it. You know, I'm using a size 10 sharp for this. You may want to pop down to a size 12, especially with those 15s. I'm usually just going through that one pass, but if you feel like you need a skinnier needle, go ahead and use a thinner needle. So I've come back to here, gone around, done some right angles, and I'm going to clip this under tension. That's it. Okay. So now I'm going to walk. Let's take a look for my fringe. I know this is upside down, so let me turn it correctly so it doesn't make you go sideways. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have 19 here across. Now I don't want 19 pieces of fringe, legs of fringe here. Maybe I want 9, maybe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There should be what I'm going to do. That's my center. I'm going to put my needle in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 coming from that way. So the one next to it, number 10, in an odd count, that's the center. Okay? So I need to I like starting my fringe from the middle. That's just me, especially when I'm designing it. Okay? So I'm going to, and this is going to run a little bit long, folks. I'm sorry. But on the replay, you can fast forward and go forward and stuff. So I don't want to literally leave you hanging with this. The end of this thread is kind of frayed because I've been using it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit away, cut it kind of in an angle. I want to keep that needle there in the center for now because it marks my middle. So I'm going to get another needle. And you know, let me get a 12. I think I've got a 12 back here. Let me see if I do. If I don't, I'll move on. But I think I do. A regular 12 beading needle. Hang on, keep looking at that pretty picture. Maybe I've got a 12 over here. I know I've got a 12 from Emily's project. If I can't, yeah, here we go. Here's a 12. Hurrah! Because reinforcing that fringe and going back and walking around and stuff, I think a thinner needle is what I'm going to need. Okay, so here's my 12. And see the difference you can see the difference in the thickness between this 12 and this 11. So I'm going to pop down to the 12. Let me get this under, and we'll add that to the materials list. I think we only have 10s on there, but I'll add it. We'll add it to the ingredients list. Let me needle that thread. God, the eye of that size 12 needle is so small. There we go. It's through. So I need to wind my way back through my beads here to get this thread in the center. Okay? Now, my thinking is that I'm going to need these little base beads down here to not have a lot of thread in them because I'm going to put my fringe through there. Okay? So I'm going to walk my thread to the center using the Miyuki spacers because I know that hole size is big. And I'm just going to go back and forth to the middle. Like so. Try not to catch that single 15-aught above it. See, I'm only going through that O bead. Not the O bead, sorry, I keep calling it that. The Miyuki spacer. Almost there. Use really good light, kids, when you're doing this. I think this is close to the center here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go through. I think I'm going to go down the spacers that are next to it. See that right there? And then I'm going to go through that 15. Whoops. So I'm going to take this needle out of my center bead and put this through. I think it's this one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, that's the right one. So now I'm ready to fringe. Now I'm definitely going to run out of thread here, right? That's just a fact of seed bead life. Doesn't matter. This probably is enough for two legs of thread, two tassel legs is what I want to say. What I'll do is I'll weave some more thread in up here, come down, and then have the thread come down wherever I want it to, whatever side. Because then I'm going to work this fringe going probably out to the left and then out to the right. I could work one to the left, one to the right, but I think I'm going to do it this way because then I can have all this side planned. This side's going to take me a while to figure out, right? Because I don't know what it's going to look like really yet. But then all I have to do is mirror it on the other side, and then I have the pattern ready to go for earring number 2. All right? So let's lay this out. Let's talk this through. I'm going to use this briolette here in the center, and that's going to be my showstopper. All right? If I'm doing 9 legs of fringe, this is my center. I'll have 4 over here and 4 over here. It might be a little sparse, actually, but I'm not sure. I'm going to skip this. Let me count. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. There's 4, but I want one on the outside. So there might be 5 legs here, and maybe I'll do 1 here and 1 on the outside. I don't know. You kind of have to, with fringe, I find, this is the real pain in the butt, is this section, right? Because you're designing it as you go. Once you have that down, pardon me, then you're home free. So I know I want to wait. I want my fringe to angle slightly. So I know I'm going to lay these out here. I know they're going to have a shadow in there somewhere. And let's just say there are going to be 5. There'll probably be 5 per. I know I want to bring in this O bead, that light one, because I want a pop of real lightness in there. I want a pop of black. And I want that blush in there too. So let me just stitch what I know. I know that this is going to be the center. And I know I want this fringe to be, my center one to be about 1 inch. Let me measure it. About 1 inch. And everything else is going to do this. Melanie, that's a great observation, actually. Couldn't we add another needle to the right and work them both as you move outwards? It's a pretty smart idea. I might do that if I weren't on a demo timeline. I think that's a great idea. You can work some to the left, some to the right. Smart. But let me go ahead and bead about 1 inch here. Maybe I'll start with a patina. Maybe 2, so there's a little bit of movement. Let me get some O beads, maybe a single. 2 of those. A couple of these. A black. 2 of these. Let me see what this looks like. Do I have too much light in here? Yeah, too much. See how those 2? Too much. I just want a single. And I just want a single one of those. See, too much, even though they're tiny. Let me take them off. I'm not going to take my needle off. I'm just going to take them back through the eye. Let me slide them off. See, if I go back through eye first, they're going to come off easily. I think I want more black in here. So let me do another one of those. One blush, 2 black, 1 cream, 2 more black, and the shadow. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Yeah. See, just by moving, let me zoom. The white and the blush, that off-white, I think looks amazing in here. But I don't want it to be really thick bands, okay, of that. So let's see, how long is that? So I've got a little ways to go because I want to put that about right there. So I think what I'm going to do, I like doing the Janice trick where if I don't know what to do, I'm going to mirror going the opposite way. So 2 black. So I'm going to mirror that pattern. 2 black, 1 cream, 2 black Picasso, 1 blush, 3 patina. And I think those spacers frame that shadow pretty nicely. And that's about 1 inch. It's all right. The 15s won't go in the shadows. They shouldn't anyway, especially when I stitch them back up. I hope not. If your shadow has a particularly large hole, but I think they're going to be okay. So now I'm going to put 3. Actually, I'm going to put 1 more of the patina on. I'm going to go through my brio, and let me see if that's enough to make that loop around. It's not quite enough. See that? And Melanie's saying she'd add even 1 more black. I think you might be right, maybe, and I might do that on the next row because they're not going to be exactly the same, I don't think. So, but when you do yours, you do you. Okay, because again, I'm doing this in demo time, so nothing's going to be that perfect. Let me put that back. Eye of the needle first. I'm just going to go for 2. So I put a total of 6 of the patina on the bottom. Now I'm going to come back up, put 3 more, 1, 2, 3, and go through those 3 right there. And I'm going to go through up the whole line, but I want you to see how this looks. So see how those 15s, gosh, the 15s are perfect for this. Look at how those 15, look, Janice, just look at it. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. So let's go back up, trying to catch. We don't want everything to be too tight or else we won't be able to get our needle in there. And I'll tell you what, friends, You've got to have the size 12s for this fringe. That's just how it is. The 10 wouldn't be right. And I need this needle to, and see, I'm going to go right back through that bead. See that there? How they're all in a line. But you need the how this needle is bouncy, right? You need this needle not to be super stiff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the tension. I'm going to hold this briolette in my fingers here and just tighten everything so it sits right. The thread has to be balanced, right? There we go. So that's good. Now I'm going to skip one seed bead. And I'm going to go down that one. And we're going to go to our next one. And we want it to be a little shorter. And I also want to fill in the skinny spaces here. Okay, so I'm going to start each of these fringes when I do this, at least the ones that are close to the middle, and then as they get further out, I might just do a single, but I'm going to put 2 on. Okay, and again, I'm sorry this is running long, but it just is. It is what it is. I'm going to put on one of these, one of the spacers. I'm going to put a white, a shadow, a white, and a spacer. Because see how I have that skinny portion there? I want to have a fatter portion sitting next to it. Does that make sense? Can you even see that there? Right? And so where the beads go out a little bit, I'm going to use the 15s. Where the beads go in, I'm going to use the bigger beads. Does that make sense? So let me just finish this one off. So there's that. I like kind of the opulence of this. So let me repeat that patina. 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. Janice's adage, if you don't know what to do, mirror. So I'll mirror this one, the beige, the shadow, the beige, the spacer. Look at there. Look at, that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to finish with maybe 2 whites, 2 cream rather. A picot with the black, or can you hear the wheels in my head? I'll do a picot, but the picot is going to have, the picot is made up of 2 black 15s, 1 spacer, 2 more black 15s. Now I'm going to go back up. Let's see what it looks like. There you have it. Okay. And let's tighten. And let's see what that picot. I want a little bit of interest at the bottom. I'm going to say that that's a little short, right? I want that picot to sit maybe about right there. And I think I need another row of patina to come down there, right? You're picking up what I'm putting down, right? But what I'm going to do, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I may only need 4. We'll see. This one is going to come down. Maybe I'll do one more of these plain. Then I'll put this, and then I'll do maybe one more plain down there. That's what's going to happen. Okay? And then I'll just reverse it once I have this established. Okay? And I think that's going to look right. But see, this leg looks a little stubby. So this needs to go down a little bit further. And it needs some of that patina color in it. Okay? So what I'm going to do for now, because I don't want to run this too long, is we're going to come back. You can get this far. I'm going to come back on, let me see what our schedule looks like. I'll get with Drea because Drea and I have a meeting coming up this afternoon. And we will let you folks know when I'm going to finish this because I want to show you that top here. I don't want to shortchange you. We've got to do an ear wire up here. And I want to show you this finish so I can talk you through this. So this will be a part 2, a Free Tip Friday part 2. And that's what it's going to be. Because again, I don't want to rush it through. But and I know you all have lives to finish up. So watch the newsletter. Drea and I will we'll pick a date and we'll put it in the newsletter so you know what day to tune in for the finished. We'll amend the list on the website, the waterfall list, to include that size 12 needle. Okay. Because you can't rush. You can't rush this. And yeah, Cindy, all I did with this briolette, just so you know, I came down, I had 3 15s on the side, through the briolette, 3 more 15s, and then back up. They work perfection. They work a treat. They are just perfect for that. So I'm really excited about this. Can you tell? I better let me put on the opulent dusters. So let me tell you, we've got some things coming up. I told you I was going to tell you at the end of the broadcast. And thank you all for sticking with me through this. I appreciate it. We're planning we've got some new Tyla mixes that are launching on Friday. We're going to work with elastic cord. And I know some of you love it. Some of you hate it. I like working with it. I'm going to talk about stringing with the elastic, tying really, really good knots so they don't fall apart. Next week, we've got Emily in the loom. She's going to do part 1 of her loom project, which is going to be great. Then on Friday, a week from this Friday, whatever that is, I'll tell you, Friday the 27th, I have a trunk show for you. We're going to do a trunk show. I've got a Tribal and Trade trunk show. Beautiful things that I picked out for you. So that's happening before we go to Tucson. And Drea and I are cooking something up so that I will be your personal shopper in Tucson. Details are going to be in the newsletter. It's going to take a lot of legwork, but I'm willing to do it, and it's going to be fun. I think for this project, I'll do a special broadcast, and it'll be in the newsletter. Drea and I will pick it today, so you know when it'll be finished, because I don't want to leave you hanging with this design. Plus, I want to wear these earrings in Tucson because, you got to have good shoes and good earrings. So, my darlings, let me tell you, the flash sale is going to happen next Friday. So that flash sale will be on Friday, January 27th, before I go to Tucson. Okay. Let me tell you, you can find all of the info on this brick stitch fringe earring entitled Waterfall right on our website at beadshop.com. Go right under projects or put Waterfall in the search box and that will come up. Today we talked about a lot of different techniques. Pardon me, and we're going to finish those techniques, but we talked about design techniques for fringe, brick stitch with 15s, embellishing that coin or disc. We're creating that balanced fringe, and we're going to continue with that fringe on the next broadcast and add an ear wire. Again, you can find the complete ingredients list at beadshop.com under Waterfall. You can watch the replay on beadshop.com on our YouTube channel and subscribe over there, folks, for the latest in tutorials and sales and all kinds of stuff there. All right. So all of us here at beadshop.com always appreciate your support. We could not be doing it here, bringing these wonderful tutorials to you without the support of you supporting our small business. I'm really looking forward to next week with Emily and the loom. It's going to be great. This Friday, we're going to talk about stretch cord, and I will have a special broadcast to finish these earrings very, very soon because I got to finish them before I go to Tucson, and I leave for Tucson on the 28th. Oh gosh, like 10 days. I got to pack. All right. Thank you all so much, and I will see you Friday. Thanks, friends. See you soon.